What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Wager Alarm live stream. Oh, man. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. And Craig, my word. Sir, you handled the Marlins during their big COVID outbreak. Let me ask you a question here. On a scale of, I don't know, 1 to 10, 1 being no problem, 10 being panic. What's the NFL doing right now?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It seems like they're kind of handling it on a team by team basis. It's so like the one thing that I don't want to go down the road of, because we did this with the Marlins, is make assumptions, and those assumptions on the Marlins were completely false, and they just basically weren't taking the precautions they needed to, but all of these egregious things that people were saying they did were not true. And maybe it was because they were the first team to have a massive outbreak that panic was in and it became a national story. But I mean, we're really at that point now. I think with the NFL too. Like, it really feels like it's sort of out of control a little bit here, and not just on one team, but on multiple teams. And I guess with baseball, we had the Marlins and the Cardinals, and right now it feels like we have the Ravens and the Broncos, I guess. Like I'm and there's more teams too and more players.
Throw the Steelers in there too, because the Steelers
right?
just ended up putting like three on the list as well.
Right, and Taylor is out, but I think that, at least for me, what it reminds me of is people during that time that the Marlins got it, that were like the big football truthers that were like, oh, this is never gonna happen in the NFL, and they only play once a week, and they know what they're doing and they're gonna get it done. And it's like, wow, like it's like completely the opposite. And look, I could only guess, because I don't have any insight in terms of what's going on with the Broncos. I'm reading everything that everyone else is too. But at least what it feels like to me is that the league is just mad that the Broncos weren't following their own protocols by having their players wear masks. Because this does feel like a punishment for them to have to play tomorrow amongst all of the other teams. Like the Titans supposedly were holding that like secret practice, if you remember. Like, whatever happened with that? Like, that just went away.
Yeah.
And the Ravens had issues. They pushed their games back. And the Patriots had Cam Newton out. They pushed them back. So I just don't understand why the Broncos are at a different standard than some of these NFL teams. I'm just not really following why that is. Now, maybe tomorrow we'll wake up, the NFL will wake up and say, hey, look, like, we'll let you play Bortles, or we'll let you play Rippon or something like that. I kind of feel like that's going to happen. Like, if I had to guess, I feel like the NFL is going to just throw caution to the wind, let those dudes play tomorrow, and then worry about it later. Because it feels like the NFL just does things, and then they worry about it after the fact and just be like, all right, well, if the bleep hits the fan, then we'll fix it at that time. But it is disappointing, because Major League Baseball had their issues and figured out a way with playing every single day to not have them down the stretch. They had no players test positive for the last 2 months of the season. And here we are with the NFL. I mean, I could even flip the script, Howard. They're only, like, let's talk about this. They're only playing 1 day a week, and they're having this happen. So it's like they're really doing it wrong. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Look, college football's going through the same thing. Every week we're having more games canceled than played.
The country is having its own thing. Like, yeah. That's the thing. It is a worldwide pandemic. And we are going through that second spike that we heard all about in Italy, that we heard all about in England, that we heard all about in France. And those second spike numbers are even more massive right now in the United States than even what they were over in Europe at this point. And yeah, I got to have my football, Craig. I got to have my football.
Yeah, I look, it's hard for me because, look, we all make our living off doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, me more so with baseball too, for sure, and I totally get that. But I think the question, I'm not saying that they should cancel the season or anything like that, but it does beg the question at this point, to get through the season, would it be best to make all of these players and coaches stay home for like 1 week just to not be around each other, regardless of how you feel about the virus or not? I know it's become a political thing too, but I suppose that keeping them away from each other for a week may give us a chance to have this thing played out. because we still have like 5 weeks to go.
If they quarantine, like, see, here's the thing, because I don't mind. I don't mind if you put a pause on the season right now. I'm okay with that. 2 weeks, fine. But you got to put everybody into each individual team into some sort of a bubble. You can't sit here. You obviously cannot sit here and let these players or coaches out on their own volition to do whatever they want, to act responsibly, because none of them are doing it right now.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
It was interesting on my on my Sports Grid show. We have this agent. His name is David Cantor. He's been on the show many times. He made a really good suggestion. And he thought, like, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he didn't think it needed to be like full on bubble. But he basically was like, the NFL has so much money. Why doesn't every team own their own hotel in their city for the next 5 months? Like, why? And by the way, in that hotel, the visiting teams, that's where they'll stay too. Like, in that hotel, they get a big enough hotel for when and just one hotel in each city, and that's the end of it. And no one leaves or goes in and out. And there's a lot more players in the NFL than there are in baseball and in basketball, and I get all that. And again, I don't know that a full bubble would have ever worked, just like I don't know that it would have worked with baseball either. But it's crazy that we're sitting here now and going back like, baseball did so well the last 2 months. What did they do so well that the NFL is not? Because it really is the same sort of thing. So I'm disappointed, but look, obviously we have picks to make here, and we would be foolish for not taking the Saints in this situation, and so we will. But there is part of me that thinks that the NFL's resolution on this game isn't over yet. I think we're all like prisoners of the moment here, and just like throwing Tebow out and Kaepernick and Brock Osweiler, and John Elway. But I think tomorrow someone's going to wake up in the morning and say, hey, like, whatever quarterback tested positive, let's have that guy out, and let's let them have their a backup quarterback. I don't know. That's my sense. But look, maybe I'll be wrong, and the Saints will win 41-0, because that's honestly, I don't give Denver any chance playing this wide receiver.
No, I don't give him any chance either. Listen, they've already talked about it. Royce Freeman played some quarterback in college, and so did Kendall Hinton. He was the quarterback over at Wake Forest. Maybe this is a punishment by the NFL forcing them to actually play it. I mean, listen, I get it. And they're well the Ravens get a chance?
Yeah, and sorry, Howard, if it does come out that, look, there are protocols that have to be kept, and they did a quick investigation and asked, and they weren't wearing masks. Yeah, I mean, tough. That's basically you're going to have to eat it at that point. I get it. And I know that there aren't a lot of current lines on the game out right now. I think someplace had it at -13. I would expect it to be a lot higher than that. And I would also tell you that the total, whatever it is, I would guess that if this game gets out of hand, that Sean Payton is not going to punish the Broncos into oblivion. I would guess that he will call off the dogs in a game like this. That's my sense.
Probably. 38.5 was what I saw from Circa. As far as the total goes, Saints favored by 13.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I don't think the Broncos will score a point. I don't think they'll score a point. I look, they had a hard enough time scoring points with a quarterback. I know that's the joke, but it's true. And again, the Saints also had a really competitive advantage here, knowing all of this stuff going into the game the night before. I suppose that if you asked a coach, we're going to prepare as if a quarterback is playing, I'm sure they would say those sort of things. But it's like, if this came out an hour before the game, okay, like the Broncos could maybe catch them off guard a little bit. But now it's like the Saints know that they're preparing for some wildcat option too.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's like when you play Army and you play Navy in college football. If week to week, it's very tough to prepare for them. But if you know with some advanced time that you're going to play the team, you're preparing to face the option. I mean, they basically, for the most part, don't throw the ball. And I suppose that's what's going to happen with Denver tomorrow. But I think so. I'm going to guess. So, I can't believe we'll be sitting here 4:05 Eastern, 1:05 your time, and it'll be the same exact scenario. Something will change between now and then. That's just a guess for me.
We'll try and keep you guys as updated as possible over at wageralarm.com. You can also go over to fantasyalarm.com. There is a live blog over there which gives you the list of all the COVID situations that the NFL is currently dealing with and how that will affect fantasy football as well. So,
yeah. One other thing with the line at the Circa, too, I want to add, normally when teams, the starting quarterback goes out and it's the backup, it's a touchdown. So 13 isn't high enough. It's going to be a lot higher on Sunday. I mean, if you could get 13 now, I think that's a good bet. A 17 or 18 may be a little bit different, but when a normal quarterback like a Stafford is out, or a couple years ago when Tannehill is out, you saw the line move like 6 points basically. So here it's moving 6 points, but it's not moving from one quarterback to another. So I don't think that's enough, and I think that the line will go higher. I would not surprise. 20 may be a bit high, but it would not surprise me to see it push that. So if you could still get 2 touchdowns, I would do it.
Now, what's the question here? That if we were to turn around and we took the Saints, which we have to do it
because
it's Saints -6 in this one here on the Westgate. But what happens if this game gets canceled?
Then off? It's just a 0. It doesn't count as a win or a loss. But I think we have to take that chance. Look, we could get a lot of value here by taking the Steelers too. The Steelers are up to 7.5 right now for Tuesday night. But I mean, again, this is my Marlins hat on, thinking, how in the world are they going to play this game Tuesday night with 15 people positive? Like, I mean, the Marlins didn't play for almost 2 weeks. So I don't know. Maybe the NFL just plays by their own rules, I guess, and they're clearly making it up as they go along. That's one thing. Major League Baseball made it up as they went along, but the NFL had that blueprint from baseball.
Oh, well, see that's one of the things that I just don't understand. I mean, it just again, you know what? We could say I'll save the tirades for another time because it's frustrating. It really is. So let's get to our picks here at the Westgate. We'll run through them. Obviously, we are taking the Saints -6. That is not the first game on the slate that we're taking. So we'll go top to bottom here with what we're looking at.
Okay.
And then we will let you all get on your merry way. First game that we're taking, the Browns -6.5 over the Jaguars in Jacksonville. The line has gone up. I think it's 7.5 right now.
7. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are getting a little bit of value. To me, again, it's a no-brainer. It's Chubb, it's Hunt, it's the ground game. You're looking at Mike Glennon under center for the Jaguars, and well, he's just atrocious, as are the Jaguars, who don't even have, they've got James Robinson and, a couple of middling wide receivers at best. So I think this is an easy pick.
The Jaguars are not tanking. No team tanks. But clearly at this point, you without tanking, what you could do is put a non-competitive team on the field and still play hard, which is, I think, what Jacksonville will do tomorrow. But they're at a really big disadvantage now. Not just having the quarterback, but having their best wide receiver out, and Shark not playing on Sunday too. Luton didn't play well after one good game. That wasn't a huge surprise. Teams get the film, and that's pretty much it. And Glennon hasn't been viable virtually ever. He's just moved around to a lot of different teams, and so it's like I hate to see a team is tanking, but from the Jaguars' perspective, I mean, honestly, they look at it and they do have one win and are right there, maybe to get the first overall pick in the draft. And in a sense, you could say they even need that quarterback more than the Jets do. So, I mean, I don't see them forfeiting games and tanking games, but they're definitely putting a lot less competitive players on the field. And if I would have told you at this stage of the season 3 months ago, the Jaguars would not have a running back. Robinson has played well, but they wouldn't have really a starting running back. They would cut Fournette. They would trade their best defensive player, and their best 2 wide receivers would be out. You'd be like, oh, what are the Jaguars? The winless? Well, they got one win, and it came like a billion years ago. So, yeah, we're just going to take Cleveland.
It did. Week 1 is actually when it happened. So
that long. It's crazy.
Next game we're taking, we're looking at the Panthers, right? Getting 3.5 points here against the Vikings. Listen, I get it. Dalvin Cook going to be running all day long for the Vikings. That's how you beat the Panthers. You easily run against them. The Panthers do have a pretty good, solid offense, and it's strong enough for me to think that, listen, is the Panthers' offense that much worse than, say, Dallas's offense with Andy Dalton under center and no offensive line? No. So obviously, to me, the Vikings defense is really just played over its head for 2 straight weeks when the Vikings were winning. and it got back. It hit normalization again last week. So I like it. I like this. Teddy Bridgewater, give me the revenge game narrative. Give me the weaponry that he's got. Even Mike Davis as the running back. I think Dalvin Cook is a great guy, and I think that the offense for Minnesota can put up some points, but I just don't think Minnesota's defense can stop the Panthers.
Yeah, and look, Minnesota was 7-point favorites over Dallas, and they lost outright. Now they're only 3.5, so they've cut the line basically in half. It tells you what they think about Minnesota. It also tells you what they think about Carolina. They've been very good against the spread this season. And look, the Vikings had that nice little roll there where it looked like maybe they were getting out of their early season funk. Thielen is a big question mark for this game, and I think that's
he's out already. He's
right.
out.
So that's a big factor as well. Mm-hmm. Look, Dallas didn't necessarily stop Cook, but they still found a way to win. We don't even need Carolina to win. We just need them to lose by a field goal. So, but wouldn't surprise me if Carolina won the game outright. They've really been one of the nice stories of the year. Unfortunately, they don't get a lot of publicity because it's Carolina, but they've really had a nice year.
Yeah. Third game we're taking, Titans getting 3 against the Colts. Titans on the road here, but again, Derrick Henry ran it for over 100 yards against these same Colts a couple of weeks ago on Thursday. Now all of a sudden you're looking at the Colts with major injuries and COVID situation over there. DeForest Buckner is out. Autry is out. Okereke is out. Who's the other linebacker? There's another linebacker, Anthony Walker. He's questionable, but they might hold him out. They're dealing with some COVID situations over there. Jonathan Taylor, their running back, he's out. I look at this, little rematch of the games, and I just don't see a healthy Colts defense shutting down the Titans like they did the first time. I think the Titans can actually win this game outright on the road. So that's why we're taking them with the 3.
Yeah, and look, it's basically telling you that the two teams are even, and they're giving the Colts, again, the 3-point advantage only because they're at home. I don't see the Colts as much a different team at home or on the road. I felt like their win last week was a little bit fluky. Give them credit for coming back big in the second half for sure. And they definitely dominated Tennessee a couple of weeks ago. But the Titans really played well against Baltimore last week, and I think they have a chance to play well against Indianapolis. A lot of their games are close. And look, this is one of those games that probably comes right down to the end, and we're going to take points here and take 3 points.
Yep. All right. Fourth game on the slate, we're taking the Bills. We're laying 5.5 here. Bills coming off of a bye week. Chargers making another trip across country. Listen, I love the Chargers offense. I love what Justin Herbert's doing. But I think the Bills now have had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I think that they've got a good grip on what they need to do defensively, watching out for Keenan Allen. There's really not much about the ground game. They say that Austin Eckler could return. He was activated off of IR. But Anthony Lynn, he's hemming and hawing as to whether or not he's going to actually put Eckler in there into the game. So, I just think that with what we've seen from the Bills right now, offensively speaking, and coming off the bye, I think that this is a touchdown game at least for them.
Yeah, and look, this is a huge game for Buffalo. It more or less puts them in the playoffs. I know 8 wins is nothing to write home about, but 8 wins, I think, these days in the NFL is almost gets you in. Line ironically moved down to 4.5 right now, so you can get 4.5 in some spots. I'm not really sure why that is. Chargers are okay betting as a dog, never as a favorite, and they just haven't closed out any games. So you would assume in a late game scenario, if the Chargers or Bills are tied, Bills have a great shot to win. A lot of advantages going Buffalo's way. I would say that defensively, for sure, the Chargers had a couple of injuries. I think Ingram's out again this week, if I'm not mistaken. So, we'll take the Bills. Expect them to win by a touchdown. Teams off a bye have performed very highly this year. Not last week, but overall very well. They're above 500 for the season in terms of covering. So, for me, probably my 4th or 5th favorite pick here, just because I don't ever feel like I have a good read on the Chargers. I just know not to take them ever.
All right. Well, there you go. Those are our 5 picks. Pick number 5, obviously the Saints. We're laying 6 here. Oh, no, we're laying 6.
We may as well say that which pick we took out to go with the Saints.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just getting a a message here from Matt Sells talking about how Buffalo is 3-0 under Sean McDermott after bye weeks. Thank you, Matthew Sells.
Thank you very much for the pick. Yeah, we were leaning toward Philadelphia plus 4.5 Monday night.
Home dog Monday night.
But
can't believe we're passing on it.
The Saints is just too juicy to pass up here. I don't know. I think you got to do it. And I'll feel. Listen, if they play the game tomorrow at 4:05 Eastern and the line is 16, and the Broncos win the game outright, I will not feel bad about taking the Saints. I mean, you're getting at the very minimum, I think, 10 points of value on this one, and I just think that you have to take it. I hope for the Broncos' sake they get to field someone better than the options that are there, and I know that a couple of their players, Judy and Fant, have already gone to Twitter to complain about it. I gotta say, I don't think they're wrong. Now, we don't know what went on there in that quarterback room, and I don't know how the NFL's handling this, but they got a good point. I gotta say, in my opinion, they have a good point.
Well, their point is that the NFL's making them play. They violated protocols that have been laid out over and over again, and now that.
But did the Ravens violate protocols?
What's that?
But did the Ravens?
Yeah, the Ravens did. The strength and conditioning coach. Right. They came right out,
and they were able to push their game back. Why isn't
that was the thing. Did the Ravens get away with it by?
I don't know the answer. That's
punishing the guy.
I saw somebody commenting saying,
should I not talk, Craig? Should I just let you just ramble on? Oh, okay. The question that I had was with the Ravens. Oh, you know what? Forget it. That's going to do it for us. I'm done. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm Howard Bender for Craig Mish. We'll catch you.